you doing, man? How's everything going with you?
It's going good. I mean, all things considered, I'm feeling really good about heading home to see the family. Can't wait to hug my babies and looking forward to that for sure. I mean, it would be nice to still be in the house, but other than that, all things considered, like I said, I'm doing great.
Well, glad to hear. Before we send you off, of course, I've got a few things to ask you. Now, from our perspective, last night, first non unanimous vote of the season, seemed like from our perspective, it was a blind side on Cameron, Bowie Jane, obviously on you. But from your perspective, how surprised were you when those votes came in?
I'd say it was about 60-40, 60 that I would stay and 40 that I would go. There were definitely some inclinations that there was something going on. You know, you see little pockets of people discussing things and mannerisms and such like that. But in Big Brother, you really can't let some of that stuff get to you that much. So you kind of just take it with a grain of salt and move on. So there was a fair bit of surprise when my name was said there. But as soon as I heard 8, I knew that I was walking out the door.
Interesting. Now, I'm not sure if you're completely aware of this, and Felicia did make it aware to you in her goodbye message, but the vote was originally earlier this week on Jag, actually, that Jag was going to go up, Jag was going to go because of all this communication about Matt's power. And then once you had expressed to Jared that let's sit down with Cameron, let's hash everything out, it really got the spark going in a lot of people's minds about, okay, there's a chance they could get back together again. We don't want that. What's your reaction to all that?
I mean, in as far as Big Brother goes, that's good gameplay. You know what I mean? It was some next level deceit, honestly, and pitting two friends against each other out in the real world. I would definitely look at something like that negatively. But obviously, Big Brother is not the real world. So as far as gameplay, you have to applaud such things and give credit where credit's due in that sense. I mean, it sucks and it hurts to be on the receiving end of that. But watching it unfold, I mean, it makes good TV.
So, looking back on this week, obviously the bromance breakdown of you and Cameron. Now that you have a bit more information, a bit more time to reflect, I know Julie asked you a bit about this last night. What ended up happening with Jared communicating to you that Cameron was throwing you under the bus when that wasn't really as explicit as maybe he was alluding to, leading to this real, chilly demeanor that you gave Cameron leading through you walking out the door. How do you look back on all that? A very tumultuous week for you in more ways than one.
Oh, absolutely, and it's my birthday week, and it's never a
Yeah.
good one. The bad luck monster follows me on my birthday. It truly does. I even predicted before coming into this house, I was like, "Oh Lord, I'm going to be in there on my birthday. I'll probably be on the block, and that'll be the week I get evicted." And I have to say, I called it. But I did have some concerns about it. And I did go back to Jared and we had another conversation and things seemed to change up a little bit, which led me to tell him, well, I am going to have this conversation with Cam. And ultimately, I think after I left that, I was like, that could have put me in a spot, but I kind of ignored that because I still felt like I was doing well with the Legend 25 Alliance and that I was a part of the majority.
So last week, it really is a mirrored situation where you and Cameron, not only are you on top, you have all the power. He is the HOH, you hold the veto. And you were privy to watching Izzy have quite the reaction to Cameron winning HOH. And you and he had definitely talked about, okay, maybe we go for her. Clearly, she's not a fan of us. Ultimately, to that point you just made, you do end up sticking with Legend 25 and going after Jag and Blue. Talk to me about the logic behind that decision, and especially now, how do you look back upon it?
Well, honestly, it was to maintain the majority. We had the numbers in the house, and it made sense to keep those numbers. We had already made a move with Heisem where we turned our sights inside our alliance, and I felt like that may not have been the best move. It bred a lot of mistrust in that. So my concerns when Cam actually suggested putting Izzy up as a replacement nom and then potentially getting her voted out were that she was part of our alliance. And even though we did have a bit of a tumultuous relationship, I wanted to work harder on fixing that because she was a challenge for me. So it was a personal challenge in my own self to just be a better person. When I come across challenging people, one of my goals is to try to make it easier to deal with them and learn more about those people so that I can learn more about how to live a better life, honestly.
So one of the other tight relationships you had besides Cameron was Suri. In fact, during that week, you had said that she was the person you trusted the most besides Cameron. And for what it's worth, she was the one that was really putting in the work to keep you until again those comments were made that led to everyone flipping. How do you look back upon that relationship, especially now that you know perhaps a bit more about the structure within the house and especially the fact that her son is in there playing alongside her?
Honestly, that's a tough one. I mean, I can only give an answer based on what I experienced and what I know with her. And honestly, I felt like a lot of it was genuine, and I don't know to what degree she was playing into that. And like you say, she was trying to keep me there, and she was telling me that. So I mean, it's really hard to say. I feel like she's playing a really solid game. If she was able to deceive me in that manner, I think she could go really far in this game.
Now, going perhaps over to the other side of things with your relationships, I need to talk to you about your thoughts and the comments you've made about America. Because over the past couple of weeks, we've seen you criticize the way that she dressed. You've called her fast. At one point, you even said something along the lines of, the closest thing I want to be to her is sitting next to her in the nomination chairs. And to be honest, those comments can definitely be perceived as misogynistic just based on looking at
Oh
America.
Lord.
Can you talk about your feelings on her and why you were so vocal about the choices she was making in those regards?
Well, again, it was a majority thing, and a lot of people felt distrust for her, and it definitely was not misogynistic in any way. I think my observations on, um, her movements throughout the game were based on maybe playing other males in the game to her benefit. So I felt like maybe she was playing Corey a little bit in a sense, and I felt like she was maybe playing Cam a little bit in a sense. None of it was ever personal. It was all very gameplay related. I'm sure on the outside, me and America would get along just fine. But as far as my interaction with the pretty girls in the house, it was more of a personal thing and a respect for Allie Mae, my own lady. So it was really hard for me to be able in a situation to where I could get close in general um, to, any of the single girls that are in the house.
All right. Well, to finish things off, I got a little bit of a game for you, Red.
All
I
right.
know you have a gift of gab. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the name of one of the currently remaining house guests. I want you to give me first word or few words that immediately comes to mind for you, doing a bit of a word association. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Well, let's keep on that America train and start with her. Immediate thoughts on America.
Um, Fast track to the seat. I don't
How about,
know.
how about blue?
Oh, blue is all about blue. So blue and you are not, her in a sense.
How about Bowie Jane?
Amazing. Just really awesome person.
Now, how about Cameron?
Uh, Honestly, brother. That'd be
Hmm.
the first word that comes to mind. I really did have a close personal connection with that guy, and it's unfortunate the way it turned out.
Yeah, and really briefly, just as an aside, your feelings about him as the new HOH?
Awesome. I mean, I'm rooting for Cam, especially in light of the new information. And even if I didn't have the new information, I still want to see the guy go far. He's a single dad. He made a lot of choices coming into the game. I'd really like to see him go far in the game.
How about Sari?
Oh, deceiver. She told me that I aligned with a snake, and I kind of wondered if she was talking about herself.
Corey?
I would say game player, super fan. That's the first word that comes to mind with Corey.
Felicia?
The queen, honestly, she really is. Queen mother is the best way to describe her. She's really somebody that everybody respects.
How about Izzy?
An Izzy Tizzy. That girl is a mess, a tornado, if you will.
Jag?
Um, just cool. That guy's cooler than the other side of the pillow. He really is. And in other situations, I think we would have had he not have ended up on one side of the house and me on the other. I think me and him would have worked well together.
How about the HOH that sent you packing, Jared?
Slick. That's the word we'll use for Jared. Slick.
Hmm. Matt?
Awesome. I mean, how could you say anything else about an Olympic athlete with such a great personality? I mean, he's a great looking guy, but he's so down to earth. Awesome is the best word to use for Matt.
Last but not least, Mimi.
Middle Mimi, and Mimi Meanie in the morning. But no, she is definitely just kind of there right now. I feel like she's playing a very middle game.